Alright, we're back, and I got this absolute unit of a lawnmower here for free. Kind of excited about this one because, in my opinion, this is pretty much the best, consumer level homeowner lawnmower you can get your hands on. I mean, this one could just slightly be better if it had the Toro brand engine rather than the Kawasaki. Kawasaki's like the second best engine, in my opinion. But yeah, that's a great engine. Obviously not this one because it's been rode hard and put away wet, but this one had the valve guides walk out of it, and of course it meant the push rods, which ain't good. So I'll have to fix that. I'm gonna bet dollars to donuts if I get in there there's probably a mouse nest or something, because what happens is the cooling fins around there get plugged up with crap and it can't cool and it gets too hot, and then those valve guides walk out of the head, and then the rocker arms can't push down the valve. I think it's that one is real bad, but the valve guides can't push down the valve, or the rocker arms can't push down the valve because of the valve guides, and then something's got to bend, so it's almost always the push rods. So we'll have to fix that. And this guy, he really didn't like this mower or something. He beat the crap out of it. I have to bend that guy back, and yeah, I'm pretty sure the deck is pretty nasty. That don't sound too bad. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, idlers and whatnot. I think this guy kept this thing under his deck, which is about the worst place you can leave it because it gets all wet and then it never dries out. He never cleaned it, so the grass turns into freaking dirt under there, and mice live in it and destroy everything. So, but I think I can bring her back to life pretty easy. She's only got 346 hours, so shouldn't be too bad. I walked out back and I found another engine like this in the pile, so I should be able to take care of it, and then we'll have to go through it and see what else is wrong with it. Oh yeah, she still turns over. So yeah, let's go out there and grab that other engine. I'll just steal the head off it and plop it on this one, hopefully. Alright, here we are at the motor pile. As you can see, I've got plenty of blown and scrap-on engines here, and a bunch of Kohlers scattered throughout. Just kind of junk. I got one single-cylinder Lance in there. That's a that's a whole nother story. But I do have. Where did I see it? There we go. I do have one Kawasaki engine down here. Don't know what happened to this one. Don't really care. It's an FX 691V. The one on the mower is a FR 691V, but I think they're close enough I can swap the heads and make that work. So I'm gonna dig that sucker out of the weeds, and we'll take it back to the shop and hopefully get some parts off it. Alright, I got my donor engine in here. Man, these Kawasaki's are heavy, but I think this one grenaded on the inside. I spin that, I don't really get any compression and kind of some clunky noises in there, so hopefully the head's okay, and hopefully it'll fit that one. These are a little bit different, but I think it's mostly cosmetic and some internal differences for strength, because this is more a commercial unit than that one is, but the heads I hope will be the same. So I'll pull that apart, make sure nothing's completely destroyed in that side, and then open that one up and see what I've got going on in there, and hopefully I can just swap them out. Well, I pulled off the top cover of this one I'm going to pull the head off of, and wow, there's a bit of a mouse nest in there. But this is a perfect example of what happens to these engines, not just Kawasaki but pretty much any engine. The mice crawl up in there and they build their little nests around the heads, and then they pack all these fins full of crap, and the air can't flow through and it can't cool down. It gets too hot and the valve guides walk out, and then boom, now you need a new head. So never hurts to pull that off once in a while and check and make sure there's not a bunch of crap in there. Usually after it's stored that happens, but I'm going to go ahead and clean all that off and pull the head and maybe pull the valve cover first and just take a peek in there and make sure this could have happened after, because I've had this engine for years sitting outside, so it might not be recent, but we'll see. Well, I went ahead and I pulled the valve cover off here, and yeah, it's not good. I've got another bent push rod here, and looks like the rocker arm's been removed. So somebody went in here, saw this, and for whatever reason took the rocker arm off, or it broke off or something, and then just slammed the valve cover back on and junked her. And the guts inside of it are no good too, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, it looks like this might have walked out of the head a little bit. I'll pull this off anyway and we'll take a good look at it and see if I can save one of these two heads to make this work. Well, unfortunately this engine grenaded a lot worse than I thought it did. As you can see, that head is just junk. So there's nothing I can do with that one. I don't know where the piston went, but it's not in there anymore. Ew. Well, it's been probably 4 or 5 months since I started this video, so I think it's high time I get to working on this thing. Unfortunately, that other head we looked at ain't gonna work, so I'm gonna have to take the head off that one and push that valve guide back in and probably drill a hole and put a screw in there to kind of pin it into place, because if I don't and I just push it back in, it'll walk right back out. So we'll have to do that, but before I do, I'm going to have to clean up all this crap off of here, get the battery on a charger, and air up the tires so that I can move it around, and then I'll be able to dig into that thing. Alright, I got this thing cleared off and the battery charger on, the tire aired up and moved around so I can work on it. And I went ahead and pulled the cover, and just as I thought, there's a big old mouse nest under there. I'm assuming that's a mouse nest and not just build up of grass, because the other side's perfectly clean. But just as I thought, packed full of crap, and it couldn't cool. Got too hot and that valve guide walked out. So let that be a lesson to you. Clean your mower, pull the cover off once in a while. Make sure it's clean. Otherwise, you're going to ruin your engine, or your head anyway. So I'll clean that off, and then we'll get the head off and see if we can do something about that walked out valve guide. Well, I got the head off, and of course that was a pain, because where did I put that bolt? Well, whatever, it's around here somewhere. But the last bolt on the head decided to gall on its way out. I don't know how well you can see that, but it mangled pretty much all the threads in that last hole on its way out. So yeah, I don't know if I can do anything with that or not. Not fun. And of course, here's the head. You can see that valve guide's walked right out of it. Yeah, I set the bolt somewhere. I'm sure I'll find it around, but yeah, that's disappointing. There we go, there's the bolt. Let's see if we can get it to focus in on it, but the last little bit of those threads, the aluminum stuck to it. And as it came out, it just ruined the threads, that whole length of the thing. And I broke it loose, and then I went to use my impact, but I found out that I need to do some work to my compressor here. That thing worked itself loose and it's leaking, and I'm not getting a whole lot of good pressure there. So yeah, problems. Oh, almost forgot, there was one other thing I noticed when I was taking it apart. The engine is not exactly solidly bolted to the mower, so hopefully those two front bolts just fell out, and I can find a couple more and put them back in, or they're just loose and they're still there. A guy can dream anyway, but I'm going to have to fix that too. Unfortunate. Alright, I got the head inside here where it's a little bit warmer. I've taken this side out and I've gone ahead and pounded that back down. I do, however, need a new seal because that looks like it was kind of hammered on when it finally failed, and the back of the retainer here is all marred up. So I brought in the other head and I'll take that apart. I'll take the seal off it and the retainer, and we'll put that on there, and then I'll have to find a spot that I can drill in here and put a screw in here. I think I'll go in through here. Yeah, I think in through here will be easier. Nice flat spot, near flat. I'll drill into it, just touching that thing, and then I'll jam a screw in there, and that should hold it from going back and forth. Hopefully. I also brought in one of the push rods. That other motor only had one good push rod, so this is the next best one. I'll have to see if I can bend that back relatively straight, and then once it's all together, we'll put it in the thing and make it work. And hopefully it'll work. And if it doesn't, it's not really a big deal, because I have another Kawasaki engine that works that I can put in it, but it's currently buried under snow, so I'm going to see if I can make this work first. Alright, I've got the valve seal in and the valve spring on and the retainer and everything all back together, and I've got a hole drilled in there and a screw put in, just going in far enough to get in there and kind of touch that valve guide, so it shouldn't move anymore. So now I can clean this head up and should be ready to go back on the mower. Alright, we got the head back on, new head gasket in it. I got that push rod straightened out, whichever one I straightened out. I got those back in it. I got the valves adjusted, and as for that bolt on the bottom here that was all galled up, I went ahead and grabbed another bolt off that other engine and put it in there, and let's just say by the effort it took to get it in there, I don't think I'm going to have a problem with it walking out, so we're going to call that good. I'll just go ahead and button up this engine, put spark plugs back in, and we can see if it's going to run. Well, I think I've got it buttoned up enough that I can make it run. I haven't crossed my I's and dotted my T's yet, but I think we can try it. It's got mismatched used spark plugs I found laying around, and the motor is still not quite bolted all the way in, but it should hold. And the gas in is probably 6 to 8 months old, if not older. So I don't know what it's going to do, but let's see if it'll crank and fire up. Well, here goes nothing. Well, it's running. As you can see, I dripped a little oil on the exhaust, so I smoked myself out, but hey, it runs and it didn't sound too bad. I like it. Well, I think now that it runs, after I air this place out, I'll just button the engine back up, and I think we're going to call it until springtime to do the rest of it, because I would like to wash it because it's filthy and it's still frozen outside. So button her back up, and we'll come back to it in the spring and tackle the deck and maybe bolt that engine back in and all that fun stuff. But at least now it runs and I can move it.